I got a question for you. That's a turn here. It's not a happy one. What was the passing of Chris like for you?
It was tough, man. It was really tough. It was that was the first real adult friend that I've lost. You know,
we're talking about Big Black, by the way.
Yeah, Big Black. Yeah, because I think when I was young, I had some friends pass away, and then as you get older, people pass away and stuff like that, and it's obviously always terrible. But that was like my dude. Like when I moved here, and I got off the plane and went over to their house to hang out, like it was like Rob and Big before the cameras. Like they were just hanging out, barbecuing and hanging out, and like literally I would sit with him until 3-4 in the morning and talk about girl troubles, or we had a relationship on that level for many, many years. And so that was the first one, and it affected me way deeper than I thought. Like we're all tough guys. I think that when something like that happens, you're like, man, that sucks. I'm going to keep on trucking. And there was a day when I was driving to the office and I just started crying, like really crying. And I'm not really a big crier. And I was like, man, this is crazy. So yeah, it was rough, man. He was just so, you saw him, he made millions of people love him, right? Because of his spirit. And I think like being around him, you felt that even more. And being his friend, you felt that even more. And I think it's not the type of, you think someone like that's going to live forever. And so when that happens, it sucked.
Did he ever give you something that you still hold on with you to this day? Like any piece of advice or just a moment?
It's just more his attitude. He's so freaking tough. And I don't mean like, yeah, obviously he's tough. He's a 6'4", like 350-pound black guy. He's been through so much stuff. Like he dealt with real racism growing up in Mississippi and a little bit in Chicago. And he just had and obviously he was a super big guy. And even when Robin Big launched, like everyone would notice him first. Anywhere he went, people were on him because he spotted him from a mile away. And I think that was the biggest thing is when it came to life struggles, girl struggles when I was young and didn't know what to do, work, any of that stuff. It was just this sense of toughness that you knew how much he had been through, and he's still able to like take his shirt off and dance like a stripper. You know what I'm saying? You're like, man, that's the way to deal like with a rough
perspective.
Yeah.
It's actually something I talk to these guys a lot about too, and I've mentioned it slightly before, and I've talked about it a bunch of times lately, but I have been through some trauma myself, and I would always kind of take that trauma and I would bring it up in myself and think like, oh, like I've been through this or that. And a couple of years back, I met this guy, Travis Mills in Maine. He's a veteran that lost all 4 limbs in Afghanistan and from an IED attack. And that perspective was helpful for me to remember how well I have it. Yeah. So I think it's probably.
And when you
something
see
similar.
people like that are so like smiley and fun to be around, you're like,
person,
I'm in a bad mood. Yeah.